Welcome back to the Deep Dive. You know we love to dig into those really meaty topics that'll help you guys out there ace those UPSC exams.
And today's deep dive is no exception.
Right. We're talking about the Indian rupee and all its ups and downs against the US dollar.
Specifically, we'll be looking at why the rupee has been weakening and what it means for India.
Yeah, I think a lot of our listeners are probably scratching their heads like, why does this matter to me?
Well, it comes up all the time in the economics section of the mains exam.
So if you want to crack that exam,
Yeah.
get all this stuff inside and out.
It's really about understanding the big picture of India's economy.
Okay, so let's set the scene here.
All right.
The rupee recently hit 85 against the dollar.
Wow.
That means you need 85 rupees to buy just $1.
It's a lot, isn't it?
It was at 83 back in April, and get this, a decade ago it was around 61.
A big difference.
Huge difference. So what's going on? Why this downward slide?
Well, first we need to understand that exchange rates are constantly changing.
They're dynamic.
Exactly. They're influenced by so many different factors, both within India and globally.
Okay, so before we get into the why, let's talk about the what.
Yeah, good point.
What exactly are exchange rates and what makes them move?
So imagine currencies like commodities, being traded in a global market.
Okay.
The exchange rate is simply the price of one currency in terms of another.
Like how many rupees do I need to get a dollar?
Exactly. And just like with any other commodity, the price is determined by supply and demand.
All right, so if everyone wants dollars and fewer people want rupees,
Then the dollar's price goes up relative to the rupee.
and that's what we're seeing now.
It's part of the story.
Okay, so why is everyone so crazy about dollars?
Would
Is it just because we all want to buy fancy American gadgets?
Partly, yeah. It's about the trade balance.
Right.
If India imports more from the U.S. than it exports,
Like all those electronics and machinery we buy,
yes, then we need more dollars to pay for those goods
which increases demand.
and pushes the dollar's value up.
I see. But it's not just about stuff we buy, is it?
Not at all.
I was reading that services like tourism play a big role too.
Absolutely. Think about all the Indians traveling to the U.S.
Right.
or using American software services.
True.
All those transactions require dollars, which increases demand.
And then there's investment, right?
Yes.
If Americans are pouring money into India businesses,
That would boost demand for the rupee.
making it stronger.
Right. But the reverse is also true.
So if Indian companies are investing more abroad,
That increases demand for foreign currencies.
which could weaken the rupee.
Right. It's a constant push and pull.
So it's not just about the rupee weakening.
Yo.
It's also about the dollar getting stronger globally.
That's a crucial point. The news always focuses on the rupee dollar rate.
Yeah, it's like the headline grabber.
But it's important to look at the bigger picture.
The rupee's performance against other currencies.
Exactly.
And how those currencies are doing overall.
You got it. So, for example, while the rupee has depreciated against the dollar, it's actually appreciated against other currencies like the euro and the yen.
Interesting. So it's not just a simple case of the rupee losing value across the board.
Exactly. The dollar is currently very strong globally.
We hear that all the time,
It's tied to things like rising bond yields in the U.S.
which makes dollar investments more attractive.
Right. Investors are flocking to the dollar.
So it's like a popularity contest among currencies?
In a way, yes. But this global currency dance has real impacts on India.
That's what I was thinking. Like, how does all this affect us here?
Well, one of the biggest impacts is on imports.
Because we pay for imports in foreign currency.
Exactly. And India is heavily reliant on imported crude oil.
Right. We need that oil.
A weaker rupee means we have to pay more rupees for every barrel we import.
Ouch. So our energy bills go up.
It's not just energy bills.
What else?
A weaker rupee makes all imports more expensive.
Like raw materials and stuff.
Yes, everything from electronics to food items.
So it affects businesses too.
Absolutely. Higher import costs for businesses often lead to higher prices for consumers.
Inflation.
Right.
That's definitely a downside. But isn't there a flip side to all this?
There is.
Doesn't a weaker rupee help our exporters?
It does. How so?
If the rupee is weaker, Indian products become cheaper for buyers in other countries.
Oh, I see. So our exports become more competitive.
Exactly. It can be a boost for industries like textiles, pharmaceuticals, and IT services.
So it's kind of a mixed bag.
It is. Some sectors benefit while others face challenges.
And it's not just about sectors.
Right.
What about individuals?
A weaker rupee can actually be good news for Indians working abroad.
Really?
Yeah. Their remittances become more valuable in rupee terms.
because they're sending dollars or euros back home.
Exactly. So their families get more rupees for the same amount of foreign currency.
It's fascinating how these exchange rate fluctuations have such diverse impacts.
It's all interconnected.
But can India do anything to control these fluctuations? Well, we can't completely control global currency movements.
Right, it's a global market.
But we can focus on strengthening the fundamentals of the Indian economy.
Like what?
Things like controlling inflation,
Oh,
reducing the fiscal deficit,
right.
and making India an attractive destination for foreign investment.
So it's about creating a stable and resilient economic environment.
Exactly. That can help us weather these global currency storms.
And maybe even come out stronger on the other side.
Hopefully.
So it's not just about reacting to every little fluctuation in the rupee dollar rate.
Exactly. It's about taking a long-term strategic approach.
And you mentioned something called the effective exchange rate earlier.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Could you explain that a bit more?
So the effective exchange rate basically tells us how the rupee is performing against a basket of currencies.
Not just the US dollar.
It includes currencies of India's major trading partners.
So it gives us a broader picture of the rupee's strength.
Exactly. It's like looking at the rupee's overall report card, not just one subject.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So why is this important, especially for the UPSC exam?
Well, it helps policymakers make more informed decisions.
How so?
Let's say the rupee weakens against the dollar,
Okay.
but at the same time, it strengthens against the euro.
Hmm.
The effective exchange rate might actually show a smaller overall change.
So it provides a more balanced view.
Right. It helps avoid knee-jerk reactions based on just the rupee-dollar rate.
Okay, I see the value in that. Now, what about policy recommendations?
What can India do to manage these fluctuations?
Yeah, are there any specific tools or strategies that experts suggest?
One tool that central banks often use is adjusting interest rates.
Like raising interest rates to attract foreign investment.
That's the idea. But experts caution against using interest rates as the primary tool for managing the exchange rate,
Why is that?
because raising interest rates can have other effects on the economy.
Like what?
It can make borrowing more expensive for businesses,
All right.
which could slow down investment and economic growth.
So it's a delicate balance.
It is. You don't want to sacrifice long-term growth for short-term currency stability.
It's about finding that sweet spot.
Exactly. Experts generally recommend that interest rates should be set based on domestic factors like inflation.
Not just to manipulate the exchange rate.
That's right.
So it all comes back to macroeconomic stability.
It does.
Keeping inflation in check.
Managing government finance as well.
Attracting foreign investment.
All of that contributes to a stronger and more resilient economy.
Which can handle these currency fluctuations better.
Exactly. It's about building a solid foundation.
Well, this has been an incredibly insightful deep dive.
I agree.
We've covered so much ground, from the basics of exchange rates to their impact on the Indian economy, and even policy recommendations,
I think our listeners have a lot to think about now.
especially those preparing for the UPSC exam.
This is crucial stuff for them to understand.
Absolutely. But it's also relevant for anyone who wants to understand how the global economy works.
And how it affects our lives here in India.
So thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of the Indian rupee.
It's been a pleasure.
And if you found this episode valuable, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives on crucial topics.
We'll be back with another fascinating topic soon.
Until then, happy studying and stay curious.